Buongiorno. Hi, everybody. This is On the Spectrum Podcast. We are going live for our recorded episode this week. We've decided to say hi, have some fun, and see if we can get some audience interaction, if you will. So we would like to talk about... Wait, no, let me go into my normal spiel. Welcome to On the Spectrum Podcast. Me and Steve are two human beings who are late diagnosed on the spectrum, and this is our fabulous journey of figuring out ourselves and the world around us. Now, we do not presume to be experts in anything whatsoever except for just being who we are.
Speak for yourself. I am an expert.
Steven is an expert at being Steven.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, and Baldur's Gate 3. That's true.
Yes.
This dude has done like 2.5 run-throughs now. Almost 3. I myself have only finished once. I blew up Gale. Literally, I blew up
You know what? Screw Gale, okay?
Well, you know what? I got to General, Uncle Pansy, and I just decided to blow up Gale because I thought that's what I needed to do in the story. And then it was like, game over. And I'm like, what? What happened? So if you are watching live on any service, please talk with us, chat a little bit, type something for us. But we would like to talk about today, meltdowns, burnouts, and what to do about them. We obviously have our own things that we do, but being late diagnosed, me and Steve spent a lot of time thinking that those things were a whole lot of different other stuff other than a burnout or a meltdown, right? Obviously, being late diagnosed, we spent a little bit of time in our lives believing that those moments were, like for myself, I thought they were just panic attacks I was having when I was having meltdowns. Panic attacks, or I was being over-emotional or some shit. And then there were my burnout moments where I just thought,
I'm sure there's some overlap there.
Oh, there probably is.
I'd never really had like a real panic attack before until I quit smoking cigarettes. So I used to smoke cigarettes in my early 20s.
Still do.
I quit smoking cigarettes, and I was dealing with some very difficult customers because at the time I worked at a cell phone store.
Yes.
I had some ignorant person yelling at me, being a jerk, and I just kind of freaked the fuck out.
Yeah.
And I ended up I left. I didn't say anything. I walked away from the customer. I walked into the back room, and I just laid on the floor.
Oh, there you go.
And my boss is like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't right now. I just can't.
Well, I mean, I agree with you. There are definitely anxiety moments, and there are definitely times where you have heightened amount of anxiety and stuff, and there could be a panic attack as well as, meltdowns outside of that. It's just, while we've been doing this podcast, and I've been reading people's stories and things, and while I've been kind of looking into it more, a lot of the things that I experienced that I thought were panic attacks, a lot of the times it was meltdowns. And so, like, I'm connecting through other people's stories that I felt similar things when they described stuff. And so
It's me.
I know, I see that. So, everybody, if I see something pop up on my screen on this side of the world of things, I'm going to probably stop for a second because it's like, ooh, squirrel. But... yeah, so I kind of, connect with those stories a great deal when I read them from other people. And so I started to figure out that there are times where, yes, I had panic attacks, but I was also having a lot of meltdowns too. Like the other day in the car, when I was driving back from the Packy there to come to the house for a rehearsal, I kept feeling myself twitching. And I didn't know where the fuck it was coming from. And I didn't know what was going on really, because I didn't think, in my head, I didn't think that there was a feeling, but I just kept like twitching out and like freaking out, and my hands kept like freezing up on me and shit, and I didn't really know what it was. I mean, that's not necessarily a meltdown. I felt like I was overwhelmed in a sensory kind of way, I guess.
What do you do when you are experiencing sensory overload?
What do I do? So I don't know if it's healthy or not, but I step outside and smoke a cigarette. I get away from it. I also still make excuses to get away from sensory moments or when I'm overwhelmed emotionally. I still have excuses. So I'll say, man, I'm just going to go smoke a cigarette. Or, sometimes I even get to a point of, and this is an older coping skill that I don't use very often anymore, but I still at times, if I get too overwhelmed too quickly, I'll still push other people away. I'll say something asshole or act like I don't give a fuck or kind of be just kind of a shitty person, so people walk away. There's still times where I do that, not very often anymore, but I still do that at times because I still have that old coping skill that I got to get rid of. Let's see. What else do I do? Oh, play video games. Yeah. What about
I
you?
like to go for a walk.
I was gonna ask. What do
Fresh air.
What if you don't like outside?
Then you should probably just go like live in a cage. I don't know.
A cage?
Go live in a padded room.
I've been to those hospitals twice.
'Cause- no, what's wrong with the outside? Like I know some people aren't
No,
outdoorsy people, but I think fresh air is good for most people. Okay.
Well,
I guess
I'm
it
not
depends
saying
on what
it's
you mean
not.
by fresh, because if you live in LA, it might not be very fresh.
Sure,
Like,
but I will also say
smog.
that, like, if you have, say you got some sensory issues and shit, man, going outside might not be the best
Well,
idea
yeah,
in the
like
world.
LA, like I just
Well, yeah.
there's lots
Yeah.
of noise and
Well, but I mean, what about having bugs around you? Or what about like going into nature? You don't want to touch trees or some shit. Or
I wanna touch
have
trees.
leaves on you, but not everybody does.
I wanna
I'm
hug a
not-
tree.
Like I'm not a fucking person who likes walking through the fucking woods.
I think Daniel Boone was autistic. And Ethan
Really?
Allen.
And Ethan Allen
Ethan Allen, his fixation was wood
was furniture.
and furniture. Yeah. Wasn't he like from Vermont?
I don't know.
You don't know the story of Ethan Allen?
No, I have no idea. I didn't know he was a real guy.
He I think
Really?
yeah, it was like
Alright.
he was one of the founders of Vermont, the state, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
And now everybody just knows his name from like
Furniture,
pseudo
yeah.
bad furniture.
I'm pretty sure
Pseudo
my brain is like crossed right now. I think wasn't he alive during the Revolutionary War?
Mm.
I think he was alive during the Revolutionary War, and he was actually fought for the revolution. I think. I could
You know,
be wrong. I
you
don't
just
know.
asked me if he was alive during the Revolutionary War, but I just found out the dude was real like 30 seconds ago.
I'm gonna look this up.
You really
Ethan
should.
Allen.
You absolutely should look up Ethan Allen. For
now it
some
comes up with the
stupid-ass
furniture.
reason.
I want the guy.
Yeah. All right.
1738, died 1789.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
So
There you
maybe
go.
he might have been too old to fight in the war, but he was there. He was around.
Oh, good, good. At least we figured that out. Ladies and gentlemen, if you learned nothing today on the podcast, you learned that Ethan Allen was real and he was alive
a
during
colonial
the Revolutionary
guy.
War.
He was a colonial figure here.
he was a founder of Vermont.
Yes. Pretty
Oh.
sure. Yeah.
Bravo. Bravo.
He lived in the woods and they cut down trees and made stuff.
And made furniture.
And this has nothing to do with autism, but it's fine.
That's okay. That's how we know how to talk about other stuff too. Not
My
often,
one
but
of
we do.
my interests, my special interest, I guess you would say, used to be history. So I used to read a lot about stuff, but sometimes you forget. You know, when was the last time I looked up anything about Ethan Allen? I don't know,
Never. I've never once looked up anything about Ethan Allen.
but I knew he was a real guy.
Well, you did, and that makes you smarter than me about Ethan Allen somehow. Anyway, so it looks like we've got a couple people paying attention, and in that regard, drop a hello, drop a hi, maybe ask us a question, maybe something burning that you've always wanted to know
Like
about
why
us or about the Tisms or
would
something.
you like to know how Nick smells?
Would you like to know? Because it's probably not the answer you think it's going to be. Yeah.
He doesn't really have much of a smell. I mean, I know he looks like a person who has a smell, but no. There's
Yeah,
really not
I
much
look
of a
like a
smell.
person, all right, but I ain't. Yeah, if I was in a Terminator movie, I'd be one of the rejects that they were trying to throw out, not one of the ones that they would send back in time. Yeah, I would not be allowed to try to track down John Connor because I think we all realize what would happen. I would
So
be sent
speaking
back
of,
in time. I'd stand up and I would not go after him at all.
So speaking of special interests,
Yeah.
isn't it funny how this time of the year
Uh-huh.
or this season, you know, we're going into like election season.
Yeah.
And politics, you know, it's a big thing right now. Everybody's all of a sudden a fucking
ooh.
expert. Like
About politics?
every time there's an election that comes up,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden everybody's a political expert now.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I had so short story. I'll try to make this as quick as I can for a story. I just had somebody I was talking to, and I can't tell you where, and I can't tell you why I was talking to him. But I just had somebody the other day tell me, and I'm banging on the table. I'm sorry. I just had somebody. I think it was yesterday actually. who straight up told me they did not know that once a bill is vetoed by the president, that it can go back through Congress and actually get passed if they get a majority vote on it.
Yeah, well,
They didn't know this, and they were trying to blame the president of the United States on the fact that their heating subsidy or allowance from whatever social program they're using is lesser this year because of President Biden. And I went, the president had nothing to do with that. Well, not nothing, but mostly didn't have a whole lot to do with that.
I don't know the particular program you're talking about.
Well, it's something about heating assistance for low-income people.
Oh.
Like, he might have signed a bit like the budget, the federal budget or some shit like that, and it might have had something to do with that. But then money got allocated to Massachusetts, and then Massachusetts decided how they were going to allocate those funds. Like, the fucking president does not have a fucking thing that comes across his desk that says, how much are we going to give fuckers in New England to heat their houses? Like, he doesn't get that. That's
Yes,
not what
he
happens.
does.
Apparently,
Stop defending him.
like, straight up, every time somebody says voting for the president is so important, fuck you. Voting for Congress is important. Voting for the president is just who do you want to
They
see
just
talk a
decide
lot.
who we bomb. That's about it.
Yeah, like, that's it.
I'm just
Like, no, because Congress really holds the fucking power and all of it. And don't get me wrong, the president of the United States is an important role and all that jazz. I still say voting for your Congress is far more important. Voting for Senate and House
You
of
mean the
Representatives.
people who actually make all the laws?
Yes, the people who actually make the laws, the people who actually write the fucking things, the people who actually vote on the fucking things. Because every time somebody's like, well, the president signs it into law. And I was like, yeah, but if he vetoes it, it can go back through Congress and fucking
Yeah.
still be signed into law. Like, if the president can be overlooked in such an easy way, then, like, his power is not as absolute as everybody thinks.
Welcome to your autism civics lesson.
Yeah, and I could be horribly wrong. Again, I'm not an expert in anything. I just got a fucking opinion. But
So- Speaking of special
Yes.
interests,
oh god, Yeah,
special interests
special
that can
interest.
also be a way for you to deal with a meltdown or a sensory issue.
Well,
'Cause I think we wanted to talk about
yeah,
like how do we
deal with
deal
it?
self-care,
Yeah,
like taking care of your mental health, or dealing with like having we talked about it before in like other episodes, but like unhealthy ways, like there we go,
like having a beer.
or other healthy ways, like maybe getting fresh air or maybe doing your special interest. Like nothing really bad about playing a video game and trying to escape a little bit.
Yeah,
but
nothing bad with that. I will say over my lifetime, I've had a lot of special interests, but like there's only really like two that have truly held my interest long enough. Like I've cycled through a fuck ton of shit to try to get involved in and like, and a lot of the things that I spent a lot of time in was because other people I knew really was into that shit, and I wanted friends. But the only like real things that I've ever truly been into is like playing pool. Like that was purely for me. I can play pool by myself all day long. I'm okay with it. Playing Civ, which we've talked about. Excuse me. And psych and psychology. That's about it. And actually, I recently got that revelation that like the reason why I've been fixated on psychology for so fucking long was because I was trying to figure out how to fit in. But
Yeah.
now I'm coming to understand that I don't need to fit into their world.
yeah.
Yeah. Although it is still pretty fucking lonely not feeling like you fit in anywhere. Right?
So
Not that you know that feeling.
no, not I fit in everywhere. I don't know what
Yes, yes. Everyone likes you,
you're talking about. No, not really, but we can pretend.
as we should.
So this is kind of a side topic.
Yeah.
The
No,
fuck was
I'm
that?
sorry. That was baby goat. I don't know. I don't know why I felt like doing it, but I did.
Side note here. So
Yeah. Sorry. I'm just checking how many people were watching.
we've already done a bunch of topics and episodes about like the last episode had a lot to do with manners, being polite, all or nothing, black or white thinking, that type of stuff. But
Yeah.
I still wanted to reiterate because I've seen a few things posted lately. There's certain things that I see, especially like on Facebook, that kind of blow my mind a little bit. I don't think it's healthy to share, even if it's just a meme, but that has some like that has an extreme viewpoint or some type of extreme point to it. So, like the one I was talking to you about, somebody was talking about like kids who are autistic having digestive problems.
Oh yeah.
Which is true. But they were saying that like if they're being picky with their food, that it's only for that reason.
Right.
And that basically the meme that they shared had like a divider, and it was on this side. On this side it's starve your kid until they eat what you put in front of them. And on the other side was, well, I understand my kid has digestive issues. And like I understand they're trying to make a point, but like I don't like the because the reality is like obviously there's a lot of gray area there, and you can be picky and have digestive issues.
That's true.
And you can be like a kid who is autistic who like loves chicken nuggets, doesn't want to eat anything else.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you couldn't eat anything else or that you won't eat something else if you warm up to it. But it's like, why does it have to be either abuse your child and not feed them or give them the food they want?
I mean, it's a meme, so like it's going to seem black and white no matter what. But you're right.
The problem is, though,
I mean,
yes, it is just a meme, but people end up repeating and regurgitating those things that they read.
No, they do. Yeah.
And it's the same thing with like the political stuff. For somebody to read like a political post
Yeah.
that is hyperbolic and completely exaggerated,
Right.
and then they just believe that's the reality.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that people are out there saying like, oh, well, if people don't feed their children the foods they want, then they're abusing them.
Right.
I don't think people actually think that, but I don't.
You know, there's probably somebody. I'm just saying, there's probably somebody in this world that says if you're not feeding your kid what your kid wants to eat, it's abusive because your kid is throwing a tantrum. And as a parent, I just got to say, no, that's not true. Now,
I know that like your kids can be somewhat picky about what they eat.
Yep.
Because I know that they are.
But I will say this: all kids are picky, relatively speaking, because they're unfamiliar with some of the foods. The textures are a little funny. Some of the flavors are a little funny comparatively. But you're right. One of them is more on the lines of having little personal pizzas and and meatballs.
Yeah. One of them will not eat anything that has any seasoning in it at all.
That is actually, both of them are pretty close to that.
They like, is this have salt in it? Oh
yeah.
God,
it's spicy. Everything is spicy. Yeah. But
she thinks that black pepper is spicy.
Yes. Sugar, salt. What is that? Little thing popped up there. Maybe I was just hopeful that it was a comment.
Oh, that was my Steam.
Yeah, I was hopeful for a comment. My goodness, people, start talking to us. Okay, sorry. That sounded like the Voldemort.
Right, I'm not putting this episode up.
Why not?
Because you keep talking to the imaginary audience.
I only did it once, maybe twice.
You're supposed to be talking to me.
Okay, I am talking to you.
Okay.
So anyway, I am talking to you. But like the pickiness thing, right? So I'd like to just mention, like, yes, autistic kids like what they like. That doesn't mean you can't help them eat a little bit more. But like by not giving them the thing they like, it's not paramount to fucking abuse. Like that doesn't mean don't feed them, but there's
a lot of crazy stuff that I see on.
They gotta be a little upset though. They gotta get a little cryy.
We started following a lot of autism pages on Facebook.
Yeah, that's true.
And I see the things that people say.
We kind of have to.
And I am not a parent, but I am really surprised by some of the things that people say. And I understand, like, it can be difficult to deal with children in general. And if you have a child that's on the spectrum, obviously there's added difficulties there sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But I don't understand, like, I brought this up before. Another comment was the one where the person was basically saying to drug their kid because they were too violent or destructive and they like to break things. So their solution was to basically drug the kid up so they wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just insane.
It is.
How can you follow all of these autism pages? Most of them are like advocating for people on the spectrum. Trying to spread awareness or share things about us.
Sure.
And your first thought is to drug the kid up so they can't break stuff.
Right. Yeah. It's to pacify.
Or the
So-
same thing with what I just mentioned with the food thing.
Yeah.
I don't understand how. I mean, I guess it makes sense. I mean, people who are on the spectrum are the stereotype is that we're kind of black and white thinking, like all or nothing,
Yeah, we've got a little bit of rigidity to
kind
our
of
thinking.
like extreme in a way. So
Yeah.
I guess I can see why they might get really passionate, especially if you're trying to make a point.
Right.
Like, oh, a lot of us have digestive issues. I get it. We do. But maybe pump the brakes a little bit. It doesn't mean that everybody who is trying to expand their child's diet is abusing them.
Right.
I don't know.
No. I agree. You know what? As a whole of what you're talking about. So, man, you named off like, say you just said 8 sentences. I don't know how many you actually said, but say you just said 8 sentences. I have like tons of shit to say about each one of them. Yeah, so like I had so much stuff I had to sift through it in my own fucking thought process. Yes, picky fucking foods. All of us who are on the spectrum are particular in a certain way in everything we do. What we eat, what we drink, what food, what clothes we put on our backs, what drinks we drink, everything we do. We're particular in one way or another. Every one of us is. And I would like to also say, and I know most of you hate it, and I hate the expression too, but I'm going to say it anyway as kind of a gateway, if you will, into other stuff. Everybody's particular. Like, all human beings are particular in one way or the other. We just happen to be a little bit more forthright about those. I mean, we definitely do as artistic folk. We definitely have more rigidity to our thinking in a lot of ways. In some ways, we're far more accepting of differences, but at the same time, we got a problem with change. I mean,
think
all
it
people
also-
do, but ours causes us a little bit more
I think
issue.
some of it is also exposure, like
Yes.
with the food thing too. Like, so when I was a kid,
Yes.
when I was a little kid,
Yeah.
my parents used to feed me all kinds of different things.
Oh, yeah?
So I think that's part of the reason why I wasn't as picky as a kid. There may have been certain things that I liked better,
Yeah.
but like because they were always feeding me all different kinds of stuff, like different
Right.
vegetables, different kinds of meat, lamb, whatever I'm eating. Like I didn't know what I was eating. I was just eating it as
Right.
a little kid. And then when you start to get a little older, usually when kids start to get more picky,
Yeah.
like I was a little more open to things because I was already used to eating all different kinds of stuff.
Right. And I got fed a lot of tubular meat.
But if I was having stomach
Oh,
issues,
Wait. To make sure, if my mother ever listens to the episode, I got to make sure I point it out. She didn't only let me eat hot dogs, but it's a running joke that Steve has about me that I love tubular meat. Okay.
and that's not even a sex joke. It's
No,
just
It's not even a sex joke. I love sausages, kielbasa, hot dogs, bratwurst. Like if it is meat and it's in a certain form, I'm a big fan of eating
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Have you ever tried Chinese sausage, or was it Chinese? No, I went to the Asian market once. Have you ever had like an Asian sausage?
No, I didn't even know that was a thing.
There's this sausage I've had. I think they sell it at like the Asian market.
I'm gonna have to buy that now.
It is a little spicy, but
Yeah.
it's also sweet. So maybe that would, I don't know. And even would probably mess with your stomach anyway. But it's pretty good.
All of them do. And I will say, I have yet to meet a hot dog I disliked.
Yeah.
Yep, I've yet to meet one I disliked. Even like ones with jalapenos in it that I knew full well was going to give me heartburn, I still didn't dislike the motherfucker. It's great.
You know, there's like 4 Coney Island places right down the street from here.
Delicious.
And
Sounds
we've never
great.
been to any of them, but there's like,
Of course
I don't
you
know
guys
what
haven't.
it is about this area, but there's hot dog places everywhere. There's Nick's hot dogs. There's like another hot dog place. I don't remember all the names of them, but there's literally like 4 or 5 of them down the street.
Hell's fucking right, hot dogs. Honest to God, anybody who watches this episode or listens to us live, honest to God, give a thumbs up for a hot dog. Come on.
Buy Nick a
everybody
hot
loves-
dog.
Yes.
Give us buy Nick a hot dog.
In fact, let's support a local business. Go over to Nick's Hot Dogs in Fall River, Massachusetts. Call him up. Say, hey, buddy, Nick said to go to Nick's Hot Dogs. I'm not related to the guy, but I'm also a Nick. So go to Nick's Hot Dogs. Support that local business if you can. And if you really, really feel like it, buy Nick a Nick's Hot Dog. That'd be a great idea.
Is it though?
That was the worst sales pitch I've probably ever done for anything.
So Nick's self-care is eating hot dogs.
Well, no, it is one of my comfort foods. You know, 4 hot dogs on a plate with some cheese on top, a little maple syrup after I microwave it for a minute and a half.
Nick's like if you were in death row, your final meal, you know, they give you whatever you want. Your final meal would be like 4 hot dogs with a piece of cheese on it, some baked beans, and like mac and cheese on the side. And that would be your final meal.
It would be Bush's maple bacon beans. Okay. Over 4 hot dogs with some cheddar cheese on top of it, with the beans, with some lobster. Okay. Because you got to go all out. You're on death row, right? You got to go all out.
Have you ever seen like some of those final meals that people have requested? There's this YouTube channel. I can't think of the channel's name right now, but there's this guy who does he reviews the final meals of like serial killers, the people on death row. Yeah, he makes whatever their final meal was, and he eats it and reviews it. I don't know. It's interesting. But like some people go out and get crazy. They'll get like,
oh man, people keep popping on and popping off. Anyway, go ahead.
They get like you know, like I'll have 4 hamburgers, like 2 pounds of fries, a milkshake. I'm like, how do you eat all this? You want to die bloated?
I don't think
just gonna burst.
I don't think they care.
I don't want to leave behind a bloated corpse.
Why do you care? You're dead. Why do you care?
Somebody's gonna have to take care of all that.
Like, honest to God, I want somebody to bring me a fucking 10-pound bucket of fucking lobster claws and let me eat until I die. That's what they're going to do anyways, kill me.
When they put people to death, don't your bowels, like,
I don't know,
empty as soon as...
Well, I know when you have a heart attack that happens. I don't know if that happens on death row.
Pretty sure if you die,
your sphincters let go?
Yeah, you just, like, you know, so your 4 pounds of cheeseburgers and your milkshakes all coming out.
Right. What's wrong with that? You don't care, you're dead. And even if you believe in God, whatever God that is, even if you believe in God, it's not like God's going to be at the gate going like, yo, you going to leave yourself a mess like that? No, God don't care either. Like, nobody cares about the physical world at that point. You're dead.
We're going to put you on death row for being autistic.
Beautiful. That's what they used to do. Isn't that what happened in that Quantum Leap episode?
I don't know.
Oh, all right.
Wait, the one where he had Down syndrome?
Yeah. No.
No, he was like a dock worker or something.
What was the show I was watching? There was a gentleman with Down syndrome, and he was going to be put on death row, and it was going to be like the first time in some state that they put to death somebody Down syndrome, and then like the investigators or whatever the fuck had to figure out what was going on.
I don't know. The Quantum Leap one was he was like a dock worker or something. Like the kid with Down syndrome worked at a worked at a dock.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I don't know what he was, did whatever, like a gopher or whatever.
I'm combining TV shows. You know what it's time for?
Another beer?
Yeah.
I like how we haven't talked jack shit about autism.
We did too. We mentioned meltdowns and burnouts for like 30 seconds.
Talking about death row, final meals, and politics.
That's right.
Two things we're big experts in, death row and politics. God.
What?
So who you voting for? Thanos again?
No.
Oh.
Well, actually, yes, but yeah. No, if I wasn't gonna vote for a fictional character, I'd probably vote for Marianne Williamson.
Yeah. The crazy crystal lady?
Really? Oh, I hadn't heard that part yet.
Oh, but like healing crystal lady?
I don't know. Like I hadn't heard anything about crystals with her. You don't have to look it up either, but you can. But anyway, no. Like, so I've not only heard some of her stuff, but I've also heard like interviews with her and some of the things that she said, and I really kind of dig the way she kind of conceptualizes some things. But there's also a female on the Republican side who I think is rather interesting too. Now she has a video where she talks about how she is anti-abortion. Right? How she's pro-life. But she kind of, in this little rant to hers, talks about how even though she's pro-life, she is not going to judge nor demean nor diminish or put down anybody who is pro-choice. Because, as she put it, like, it should not be the government's job to make that choice for you.
Yeah.
And I like her entire spiel about it. I thought was really, really good because she says, "Here's what I believe, and here's why I believe that, but you don't have to agree with me, and I don't have to agree with you. But it's also not the government's place to tell either one of us."
I think that
And
we
I-
need to
and I
extend
agree with that.
abortion rights postnatally up to like 10 years.
You think we should be able to kill a kid up to 10 years
No,
old?
it's just, it's not killing a kid.
Oh.
It is an abortion.
It's a very late term abortion.
It's a very extremely late term.
Jesus, somebody's going to fucking... Wow.
Listen, once they get past 4th grade, then they're
Yeah.
safe, okay? But if
Okay.
if you make it to 10, you're safe, all right?
Yeah.
But when you're still in the single digits, you're
Yep.
fair game.
Okay, single digits, fair game. So would you like to look at the timer on that recording to make sure you know when to edit that out?
No, I'm sticking by my position.
You-
I believe in a mother's right to drown her child.
All right, just so please remember that we are two separate human beings. We have different points of view.
I am obviously kidding.
He's kidding. He is. Yeah.
But hey, you never know. Postpartum's a bitch. So
Oh, who was that lady who ended up
I usually-
drowning her kids in a minivan?
I usually like most children that I meet. But occasionally, somebody has a little hellion that is extremely annoying. And
How come we word it that way?
hellion?
Yeah, no. Why do we always word it as they have a hellion? Why don't we just say that kid's a bit rambunctious?
Because I think because we usually place a certain level of blame on the parents for the child being that way.
Well, I mean, we place all the blame on the parents for some fucked up
And-
reason.
A lot of it is their fault.
No. Being a father, I can tell you it's not completely the parents' fault how that kid ends up. I will say that absolutely. But I will also say that, like, take into consideration neurodivergence, take into consideration that kids can be born with diabetes, can be born with differences, okay? It's not 100% the
but
parenting.
it also doesn't excuse the kid being annoying.
Hey, I'm not saying it's an excuse for anything. I'm not saying it excuses anything. What I'm saying though is
It doesn't
because
change
it
the
annoys
fact.
you-
It doesn't change the fact that the kid may be annoying a bunch of people, even if there's a reason for their behavior. People still find it annoying.
yeah, but that's just it though. Like, but by saying it's the parents' fault that you're annoyed, I think maybe you should check that expectation because your annoyance is a lot of the time because of your expectation.
Maybe parents should just parent better.
Hold on. I'm going to say this. So there's a woman I met not too long ago, a couple months ago, who I'm not going to say the name of, but I really enjoy a line she said, and I think I've said this in a different episode. Maybe I haven't. Maybe I have. But what she said was, what annoys us the most about someone not meeting our expectation is not that they didn't meet the expectation, is that we had that expectation to begin with. That's what annoys us or what frustrates us the most when somebody doesn't live up to what we think they should. It's not because they didn't, because quite honestly, they couldn't have. But what annoys us the most is our expectation itself. And
I don't know. I
so
think that
it's
somebody
on
screaming
us.
in my ear is a pretty good
Hold
reason.
on. Don't use extremism here, man.
Because
Be-
that's not
like-
about expectations.
No,
That's
hold
about
on. But
like you're
hold
hurting
on,
my
hold
ear.
on. But that's just it though. Like if there is, let's say, an autistic kid and you're at a restaurant, didn't we go over this example like in the
Yes.
last episode?
yes.
So let's rehash it a little bit, I guess. If you're in public, there should be, in your expectation of behavior, there should be a level of I'm in fucking public, right? So there should be a level of understanding that some people are going to act different than I do. And we should not hold people to the way we were raised.
And that's why I lock myself up in my studio and don't
And
talk to people.
all of us are much happier because of it. Yeah, we're all much happier. So that's kind of the way that expectation thing is something that constantly goes through my head constantly.
I hadn't noticed.
No, and I mean it. Like
No, you've been mentioning it a lot lately. So
yeah. Well, because it rotates a lot in my head. Because for one, yes, it's socially derived, and we have to live up to it somewhat because a lot of people are taught certain things. But I also look at that expectation, and quite frankly, it's like it bothers me more and more that I think about it, and I dig into more levels of it into my own behavior, and when I watch other people's behaviors based on those kinds of things, right? And one of the things that bothers me the most about it is everybody says that we all know X, when there are people who, regardless of whether they're ADHD or autistic or bipolar or schizophrenic or just had shitty upbringings because their parents were fucking dicks, everybody says everybody should have learned X. Oh, example, common sense. Everybody believes common sense exists. Everybody believes that common sense is a thing, a singular idea, right? But yet, when you ask people what should be common sense, what should everybody know, everybody's got a different list of shit. And so it's not common at all. In fact, the entire idea of common sense to me is a fucking mythical fucking unicorn. There is no such thing as common fucking sense. Well, it's just common sense to blah, blah, blah. But
I think,
if nobody ever told you to do blah, 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 you wouldn't fucking know.
I think what we're touching on
Okay.
is one of the basic foundations of civilization or society.
What?
Hold on.
Yeah. I gotta hear this out.
We're talking about different expectations, right? What expectations you have when living with other people. And you can't exist in a society without dealing with other people, at least on some basis.
Yeah.
It's something that I struggle with is the idea and the concept of morality. Because despite being aware that morality and most things are relative, I still feel like certain things are wrong or bad, even though I could live in a different culture where that thing is acceptable. There are certain parts of the world where, like, I think, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with people choosing to have sex with who they want to have sex with, if you're gay, if you're bi, whatever, right? But other places in the world, it's perfectly considered fine to be horrible to gay people. Or
like Russia.
This is another horrible example. In ancient Greece, they used to have sexual relationships with little boys, and the boys, it was part of growing up, is you're supposed to. I think that's horrible. But
Mentoring.
Right. But at the same, if I lived in that society, would I also find it gross? I'd just be like, yeah, it is what it is, like, because that's just part of the culture, right? So there are certain things that are like relative depending on the culture you live in. There was a culture I talked about. This is another gross. Well, I think it's gross. Sorry, for if it makes me bigoted or whatever. But there's a tribe in New Guinea. I think it is.
Okay.
I think it's New Guinea. But there's a tribe on an island that, in order for the boys to become men, they have to perform fellatio on an older boy, and it's part of the ritual of becoming a man. And yeah, I think that's weird and gross, but like,
don't we call that Catholicism? Okay.
But my point is that, like, at the end of the day, a lot of the
Pope is going to shut us down now.
A lot of the expectations that we have,
and
I think it ties in with like morality and stuff as well, because we have certain social expectations and obligations to one another. But a lot of that is based on what came before us, and it's based on how we were raised, right? Yeah. We have certain concepts of what's good and what's bad.
Right.
And I don't know. So I struggle with that idea that, like, yes, I think a lot of it is relative. But at the same time, I still feel like certain things are just bad no matter what. Well, like, I think it's bad to steal. I think it's bad to rape. I think it's bad to kill people. I think it's bad to, grape. Can't say that word. I think it's bad to do all these different things. But, like,
do you really think they're going to censor us live that way?
No, they won't.
Okay.
But, I think it's bad to treat gay people poorly. I think it's bad to do all these different things.
So I agree with you that morality is relative. There's some subjectivity to it. And I think social expectations are the same way. The social contract is the exact same way, and I think they both derive from the same fucking place. Is too many people decided to put their influence on some shit and decided to convince a lot of fucking other people to just obey. Because, like, when it comes to the examples you gave, which are kind of extreme examples of mortal differences in a society.
Yeah. Well, I think the extreme kind of makes the point.
Well, no,
Is
it
that,
does. I go to
like
extremes
it's
too when I make
considered
points.
normal there, but we would consider
Right.
that like horrible.
Yeah. But I agree with you though that if we grew up in those societies, especially like Rome, and I'll talk about the Rome one specific. It was Rome or Greece.
What
Greece.
the Greek one was the mentoring. And
Yeah,
bullies
the
and-
mentor. If we lived in that society, we would not question that at all. In fact, anybody who says that they would is fucking full of shit. None of us would question it.
It's just what it was. That's what they did.
By the way, exactly what you told me about beer out of a can.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What? Yeah. Fuck.
You gotta
dude.
pour it next time.
Yeah, I got to.
I would have poured it in a glass for you. I have a bunch of glasses.
I know you do, and I didn't even fucking think about it. Anyway, back to mentoring. So none of us would question it, fucking at all. If we were part of that tribe in fucking New Guinea or wherever the fuck it is, right? None of us would question it, right? Because that's what happens. That's tradition, right?
Yes.
Maybe one person comes along and goes, well, how does this prove I'm a man by taking, a shot in the face? How does this prove it? Maybe somebody...
Well, they have a belief about the fluids.
Yeah. And let that belief be whatever that belief's going to be. Maybe somebody questions it, but the vast majority of people will not, right? And I think, and even with social expectations, social contract...
There's another tribe of people that eats their dead.
What?
Yeah, there's another. I can't. I don't want to sound like ignorant because I can't remember the name of the tribe. There's a tribe of people that exists on another island
Yeah.
that when your loved ones die, you eat them.
Like a piece of them. Or like the whole body.
I don't know if I'm pretty sure they eat the whole thing, but they eat them, and it's supposed to be like instead of burying their dead, they eat them because you're supposed to be consuming them. They become a part of you.
Okay.
So it's like part of their belief. Now we would think
yeah.
that's gross and it's weird because
Well, of course we would.
but
Because we know cannibalism is fucking bad for you.
But the only reason I actually know about this is because I watched a documentary years ago about a mad cow disease.
Oh, all right.
Do you know what causes mad cow disease?
I'm assuming one cow eating another cow?
No, it's a protein. It's a prion. You know what a prion is?
Nope.
A prion is it's a protein that causes illnesses. That's an easy way to describe it. But it's usually like a protein that is formed or shaped incorrectly.
Okay.
And when it gets into somebody's body, it replicates itself almost like a virus, and it causes problems. So mad cow disease is caused by a protein, a prion, that fucks with your brain.
Oh.
The reason this was in the documentary is apparently people who eat other people
Yes.
have the same disease. So apparently there's a protein in the human body that you have a risk of getting mad cow disease, or it's a similar
Essentially.
disease.
Yeah.
It causes like dementia and it causes
Yeah.
problems with your brain because the same thing happens. So I just thought it was interesting that they found that this one tribe that eats people was getting mad cow disease even though they don't eat beef.
Okay.
And it was because they're eating their dead relatives.
Ah.
But yeah, the whole point was like
Yeah.
to them,
Right.
it's normal. But to us, we'd be
Right.
like, we would consider that
And-
horrible.
And actually, the whole reason why they do it is
Right.
because there is a religious, a traditional practice behind it.
Right. They believe
Which-
they're bringing their ancestor like as part of them.
Right. And so actually it's far more moral to eat the family member than not to in that regard. But again,
Rather than like
that's-
let the rats or the worms eat them.
Right. But that's out of the tradition.
Yeah.
And the reason why like that ties into that social expectation, that social contract, that kind of stuff to me is because it's based out of the same idea of like conforming to society. Do as we do, right? And there's a shunning effect from society itself if you don't follow that, if you don't go with it, right? My problem with a lot of that, though, is it allows for no variation of human. Right? So when you have people who are like us that are neurodivergent and shit, we step into the fray and immediately we're ostracized to begin with. We're pushed out, right? But also everyone else just does because they just do, but we're part of a group of people that will question why are we doing it first? Right? It took how many hundreds of years before people fucking as a large group fucking question slavery in this country. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like me, you, and probably other autistic people would have gone,
well,
how come?
There were people questioning it, but it wasn't enough people.
Well, I I don't know about the beginning, but yeah, eventually people started to question the shit out of it.
Because some of the founding fathers were not really a big fan of it, but others were.
Yeah, you're right. But also
But
remember, slavery's been
but
going
the reason
on
why
since the
they,
beginning of
the reason,
time.
as far as I understand
fucking
it, the reason
people
why,
have always owned people.
right? But some of the founding fathers had a problem with it. But in my understanding, there wasn't enough support. They had to basically include it as part of the new nation,
Right.
because there wasn't enough support against it,
Yeah, there
and they wouldn't have been able
was
to
a small
form.
minority who didn't want it.
They wouldn't have been able to do anything about it, so they had to keep it in there. And in fact, that tension starts from the Revolutionary War
Yes.
after the founding of the first. Was it the Articles of
Confederation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the way up into the Civil War. There was a growing movement
Mm-hmm.
from the time of the Revolution all the way up into the Civil War of like more and more people kind of being against slavery.
Mm-hmm.
But they knew that obviously a lot of people in the South who owned slaves weren't going to want to go along with it, which caused all that tension to build up.
Well, there was even
There was a lot of
somebody's going to have to correct me.
there were a
on
lot
this.
of German immigrants
Yes.
who were anti-slavery, part of
Yes.
the abolitionist movement.
Yes.
The Republican Party was founded partially as an abolitionist party. Yeah, I mean, and there was growing movements in it, but that was part of the reason why Abraham Lincoln's election was so controversial at the time, is because he was
Okay, so
what?
Every time people bring Abraham Lincoln into the conversation about slavery, like I know you know this, but like there's a couple of debates he did where like straight up in the debate he says that like slaves should not be freed immediately.
No, but people
Like-
were worried about what he was going to do because he was the first Republican president, and the Republican Party was abolitionist.
I mean, he did talk about eventually freeing the slaves. His step process was do it in 1900, like slowly work people up to like get them more acclimated to society, get them education, get them more able to function without society helping, and then fully release everybody in 1900.
I think they should have just released all of the slaves
Yeah.
and then had all the autists work the fields. Just kidding.
There would have been nobody in the fields because they didn't start diagnosing fucking autism until way later. A little more than 100 years later.
I know you want me to stack wood, but I don't like the way it feels.
It's a little bit too hot out today. I don't know if I can be out in the sun that long.
The smell of the tobacco is overwhelming. I don't think I can pick it. Oh, God.
Oh, this cotton is so sticky. I don't know if I can do it. Do you have any gloves? Oh, God. Why are we making fun of our own fucking people? But, it's what we do. All right.
Let's have a bunch of... Never mind. All right.
Yep. There you go. You know what's crazy? Before we went on live, we even said we were going to try to watch what we say.
It's fine.
This is the direction we went in. Nice.
Facebook hasn't shut us down yet. So.
No, they haven't. In fact, nobody has. Bravo! Okay, so...
Oh, we can ban people. I didn't know that. You can ban people from our live streams.
Really?
Profanity
Cool.
filter off. Oh, I didn't know there was one. We could put profanity filter on.
Really? So people can't type swear words at us? I don't like that.
guess.
I don't like that at all. So let's kind of run back social expectations and jazz. So one thing I will say about morals, and this is actually something that like all of society should kind of come around to, and unfortunately we'll never have an agreement of this, but we should do like top 10, and maybe I'm only thinking top 10 because of the fucking 10 commandments or some shit, but we should do like top 10 things you should not fucking do in our society. Like, just have a list of like top 10
And we'll
fucking
have
things.
Jay Leno climb up to the top of a mountain,
That's right.
and
That's right.
he'll read them off.
Like Moses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But wait, was he the late night host that used to do the top 10, or was that
No,
David
that was
Letterman?
David Letterman.
Oh, okay, we'll have Letterman go up to
Yeah. There you go.
I don't know. None of them were ever funny to me. I didn't think Letterman was funny.
What is really?
No,
God
Leno
damn.
wasn't funny either.
I didn't think Leno was funny. I thought David Letterman was great.
I don't think any of the late night show hosts are funny.
Dude, you have such a
Jimmy
particular
Kimmel,
sense of
Jimmy
humor.
Fallon, none of them are funny.
Yeah, but you have
I
such
did.
a
I
particular
liked
sense of
Conan
humor.
O'Brien. I thought Conan O'Brien was funny.
Of all of those people, Conan was the one you thought was funny.
He's very corny. He's like dad jokes, like
Oh,
very cheesy. Most of his jokes were like very I I don't know, like they're stupid. I liked his jokes. They were dumb, like dad jokes, silly.
Yeah.
Like some of the other late night hosts were trying to be a little more edgy, or they'd have jokes that
Really?
were, but they weren't good. Like they were missed the mark. They didn't even write them anyway. They weren't writing those jokes, but they were written for them.
None of them write their own. Even Conan doesn't even write all of his own shit.
No. But I thought he was fun. I used to like him and Andy Richter. We used to do.
Yep.
But yeah, I thought he was fun. I thought he was funnier than the other ones. Don't get me wrong. He wasn't like laugh out loud funny, but I found him more amusing than the other late night hosts.
Really?
Yeah. I also like he used to do this. I don't know if he still does, but he did the Out of Touch Gamer or whatever.
Huh?
He does this series where he plays video games.
Oh. Right.
But he doesn't know what he's doing, so they'll have him try a new game that just came out. Like he was playing. They might have had him do Baldur's Gate. I don't know, but he was doing like games right after they came out. Like I'll play like.
Is he still on doing a late night show?
I think he has his own show online or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had him play. He'll play like Grand Theft Auto or something, and they have him play it. But it's just funny because he doesn't know what he's doing. He's old man plays video game, basically.
That should be the theme of my Twitch channel.
Yeah.
Old man plays video games.
We're gonna play Civilization for the 13th time today.
13th. Honest to God, I'm waiting for number 7 to come out just purely so I got a new fucking game.
You might take a break tomorrow and play Age of Empires.
Nope, never played it. Never.
I was
gonna
into
play it.
AOE.
No, never gonna play Age of Empires. No, thank you. No fucking.
I used to
thank
like
you.
building up an army of war elephants.
In Age of Empires.
Yeah. Well,
Oh my God.
because you could play different civilizations. Like
Yeah.
most of them were European, but they had like you could be like Persian or whatever.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
I forget. I think it was Persians. I don't know. One of the empires you could build. You could get
Oh.
elephants,
All right.
and you just have them run into someone's village, and they just start knocking shit over. War elephants.
All right.
Come on, wouldn't that be scary? Like a whole fucking army full of elephants.
Oh, absolutely. But only because it's an elephant. It wouldn't even need to run at me for me to just be weary
Just the
of
whole
it.
army of elephants with fucking armor on, like coming towards you.
Yeah.
Because they used to put armor and stuff on the
Oh
elephants.
yeah. Absolutely.
And they just,
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like a historical ancient tank
Historical ancient tank.
before tanks existed.
Yes,
That was the
That's
tank.
what an elephant would be. Yeah.
Or it's
Yeah,
like a
that's
siege weapon. You know, instead of one of those fucking
Yes.
battering rams, you just
Right.
have a fucking elephant knock shit down.
That's exactly what they were used for. I bet.
Yeah.
I bet
Didn't,
money somebody
didn't-
slammed their head into a
Didn't
fucking
they have
wall.
elephants in the when Hannibal attacked Rome or went after Rome? Didn't they have elephants?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Dude, that's still your wheelhouse of fucking knowledge, man. That's fucking history stuff.
Yeah.
Like I know a little bit of it, but not.
What I really like, my favorite history book is the Da Vinci Code.
Oh my good God.
I like learning about Jesus' child and all the Dan Brown books. Great historical.
You know what? How do you feel about religion? How do you feel about religion? Guy who brought up moral point. But how do you feel about religion?
I don't particularly like it, but I don't particularly hate it either. I
Okay.
know there's a lot of people out there who are very like anti-religion.
Yeah. Yeah, there are.
And obviously there's a lot of people who are very religious. I'm neither.
I think it's interesting that a lot of folks on the spectrum, a lot of neurodivergent people, I'm not even going to limit it just to fucking autistic people, but like a lot of folks who are neurodivergent are like anti-religion, it seems like. And I'm not going to speak for the vast majority. I'm just saying from those I've seen online and stuff, they seem to be very anti-religion. And I'm not anti-religion. I think religion has been misused and misappropriated 1,001 times over. In fact, even to this day, there's a bunch of people who misuse, misread, and misappropriate like fucking faith in a lot of fucking ways. And I think they use it to justify their own fucking ignorance and their own fucking hate. I don't think that a book that says on one hand or on one page, love everybody, and then on another page says go fuck them, like go fucking kill them. I don't think there's a religion that says both. I mean, I could be fucking wrong. I'm not a theologist here, but of the religions I've looked into, which was not extensively, there's not a single one that I know of that on one hand says love everybody and on the other hand says go fucking kill them. I think it's the interpretation that people have that creates that. I mean, you brought up mortal fucking relativism.
Yeah, I probably
morality.
actually looked more into different religions than you.
What?
I probably looked more into different religions and read more about different religions than you, if I had to guess.
All right, let's roll those dice. Why do you say that?
Because you just said that you don't really know too much about other religions.
No, I just said I'm not an expert in them.
Um,
And I've also never come across a religion that said both of those things at the same time.
well, part of the reason I
throw
looked
it at
into
me, my
different
man.
religions
Throw
is
it at me.
because I like history.
Mm-hmm.
So from the part that interests me is more about like how they formed and the history of them, rather than
Oh.
like what the current customs and cultures are related to them.
Okay.
But like learning about like how Buddhism came about is like interesting, or like learning
Yeah.
about how Buddhism spread through different parts of the world is interesting.
Right.
Learning about how Christianity was formed and like what happened with the first church, like the first Christians, and up until like the Roman Catholic Church was founded and all that. Like all that stuff I find interesting. Or the foundation of Islam, like how Islam came about and all that. So that's my interest in it.
Oh, okay. See, my interest is more of like what they teach.
Yeah.
Like I don't give a fuck where they came from. I don't.
Well,
I don't
there's
give
an
a fuck
overlap
the
there
histories
because
of it.
there's an overlap because like some of the things that they teach, like in Catholicism, like a lot of the stuff that the Catholic Church believes or practices is not actually in the Bible. It's just like a lot of it's
In
tradition.
fact, most of it's not in the Bible.
Yeah, a lot of it is tradition. It's things that have
Yeah.
been passed down over the centuries from different popes and like different rules.
Right.
I don't know what they call them. It's not a rule, but like what is it called when the Pope passes something?
Papal doctrine.
Yeah,
That's
whatever
what
it
it's
is.
called.
Yeah, when the Pope passes something.
Yeah.
Like this is the new thing now. Like, but
Right.
all that stuff builds up over time.
Yeah.
Like, it used to be that priests could get married, and then they changed it in like the Middle Ages. I forget one time, like in the 16th or 15th century, they changed it so priests couldn't get married anymore because they were. I think it had something to do with them with property or something. Like they were worried about them trying to pass on church property to like descendants if they had kids or something.
Seriously?
I think that had something to do with that.
That was the fucking reason.
I think so. I could be wrong about that.
So somebody should like blame that pope for like all the fucking child molestation.
Yeah.
But
We do have to wrap up soon because
we do.
you got to go.
oh, how much time do we have?
Well, it's 6:00.
Oh, so really fucking soon. All right. So with that being said, we have chatted a little while. So we do appreciate anybody who did join us for our live recorded episode of the show. We will try to go live again. We are planning on doing it a little bit more often. So please join us when you can. Ask us some questions and or just chat with us. Like that's the thing. We're not experts in it, but maybe as a collective of people who are on the spectrum and or just neurodivergent, we can come to a better understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Maybe. I almost got deep on that statement, but I decided not to go as far as I could have.
We'll start letting people know ahead of time if we're
Yeah,
going
we
live.
will.
We didn't plan on going live. We just kind of did it, so that's why there wasn't really much notice. But yeah, next time we go live, we'll advertise it a little bit ahead of time.
We'll try.
And hopefully people will hop on. We'd like to see like some comments and
Right.
some interactivity. So.
Yeah, because we do actually like to engage with other people.
Also, leave a comment here if you're listening about what times of day are good. Because we'd have to do a little bit of look into like our following on Facebook to see like when people are typically online. So we want to go on a time that people are around and available.
We're East Coast of the United States, so if most of the people who actually want to chat with us are in the UK, which we do apparently have something of a following in the UK. If you're actually in the UK, we'll figure out how to go live when y'all are awake, but we can't know that unless you tell us. So let us know what's going on. Let us know when we can put on a show for you. Because just like the monkey on the organ grinder, we need to know when our boss is turning the wheel. Or the crank, rather.
All right. Well, it's kind of a all over the place episode.
That's
but it was
okay.
fun.
That's okay.
All right.
We're all over the place. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.